All right, welcome back everybody. So today I'm going to be showing you how you can motion track an object and blur it out. This is going to be useful if you need to blur out a face or a sign or some advertising in the background of your video. Without further ado, let's get right into this. All right, so as you can see, I already have my video dropped into my timeline, and the sign right here is what I want to blur out. So I'm just going to find the point where it goes away, and I'll make a snip right here using the blade tool. And the reason that we're doing this is just because of the way that the color tab is going to apply the effects. It's going to only render them up until the end of this first transition, so we don't have to worry about keyframing out the majority of the video. So get started, we can go to the beginning of the clip that we're going to be working with and going to our color tab. So the first thing that I'm going to need to do is create a rectangular mask around the sign. To do this, we'll go right here. And in this case, because we're working with a sign, we can just use the rectangle tool. Quickly try to get a little bit smaller and then fine tune it by zooming in afterwards. Just use my middle mouse wheel to get it a little. Now what we're looking for here is the darker, thicker line in the middle is our actual points that we're going to be tracking. So we want this as close to the edge of the sign as possible. These little outside lines, they're going to be not only the search area that it looks within, but also a feather for the actual effect itself. Because my particular video clip doesn't have too much motion, and it's a perfectly rectangular sign, and it's going to be moving very slowly, I can get away with a really tight radius here around the sign itself. But if you have, let's say, a face tracking that you're working with where somebody's running or there's a lot of movement happening, you might have to leave that a little bit of a looser tolerance. Now that we have this set, it's going to make it go back and fit the screen. Go back to this point right here. This is where our tracking is actually going to happen. And now that I have this rectangular window set up, this is going to be the point, or rather this is going to be the section that's actually going to be tracked. So from here, I'm going to click this button to track everything forward from here. We can see is that it is in fact tracking my sign. Now what I do is just click this little arrow button here to go back to that first keyframe. Then I'm going to track it backwards to the beginning of the video. Now hopefully it'll track through the fade, and perfect, it looks like it did. So now that we have that all set up, I'm going to go back to that middle keyframe just so we can see what it is that we're doing. I'll zoom in to maybe 200% again so we can see the type of blur that we're going to be applying. To do that, we can go to the Open Effects section. I'm going to use the mosaic blur. What you can do is click and drag that onto the node that we're working with. Now if we wanted a very pixelated blur, we can just turn up the pixel frequency. Or if instead you wanted more of a smoother kind of blur, we can turn up the blur strength or the smooth strength. In this case, I think I'm going to go for something in between, something that's a little bit pixelated and also still has a little bit of a blur there. I find that because this video is a little bit too zoomed out, if I go completely with the pixelated look, it just ends up being a jagged, stuttery mess. And then that's pretty much it. So what we can see is that the sign is completely blurred out here, while nothing else is affected. And you saw that it transitioned into the rest of the clip here. We don't have any signs of the actual blur animation carrying forward. So we know that we did this correctly. If I just keep going back and forth between the rest of the video and the frame where it stops, so You can see this portion is blurry. Go forward. That is completely clear. And that's why at the beginning of the video, I told you to use the snipping tool just so that we don't have to worry about creating keyframes here, setting that blur off the screen, or trying to mask out anything else. It's completely taken care of for us. And there it is. It's that easy to blur out a sign, a face, anything else you need to blur out. You can actually just use the color tab for that. If this video was helpful at all, let me know in the comments section below, as well as letting me know what you'd like to see in future episodes. I want to create content that you want to see, so let me know what it is that you'd like to see going forward. And make sure to leave a like if the video helped. And until next time, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Bye now.